This is Arts Alive. I'm Lynda Philippi. My guest is Caleb Thurston, the programming coordinator at the Chehelam Cultural Center. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here today because I know that the Cultural Center is always has so many things going on, and you've just opened a new exhibit.
That's right. We just opened a brand new exhibit. We're really proud of it.
Okay.
We're kicking off our summer of focus culture. So every year, the Chehelam Cultural Center features and explores a different culture, a different group of people. So last year it was India, and the year before that it was Japan. We've explored Mexico, the Ndebele people of Africa, and this year it's the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde.
That's amazing, right here in our own backyard.
Exactly.
Love it. So what does that entail?
So this is actually a partnership or a collaboration that's been kind of in the works for almost a year now. Mm-hmm. The tribe actually opened their own museum and cultural center. It's called Chehelam, and that opened last summer. And we were invited, our director Rob Daly was invited to that opening as part of a community celebration to open their cultural center. And he went there and was just wowed by the quality of work, the history, the stories, the artifacts, and the artwork of the people of Grand Ronde. He thought, what an awesome opportunity to tell the stories of our neighbors and really celebrate that culture with our focus culture programming. So we reached out to them, they reached out to us in a way, and it's been just fantastic working with their team of historians and artists and people that are hard at work preserving that culture and celebrating that culture, working with them to bring an awesome historical exhibit to Newburgh, to the Chehelam Cultural Center. So that exhibit just opened last week, and it's a historical exhibit, so you get to walk through the 14,000 plus years that we have of history and art and heritage. You can see artifacts, there's things you can touch. You can see there's a huge canoe in the middle of our gallery.
Oh wow, okay.
So it's pretty phenomenal. It's one of two exhibits that will feature the people of Grand Ronde. This is more of a heritage exhibit, and then later on in the summer in July we'll switch over and we'll focus on more of the artwork and the creative side of these people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are things that they've sort of loaned to you from their permanent exhibits.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, great. So tell me again the name of the new Native American Museum?
It's Chehelam.
Chehelam.
So it's in what used to be the middle school there in Grand Ronde.
Oh, okay, I know where that is.
Yeah,
okay.
It's an old building, very similar to at the Chehelam Cultural Center. It's an old school building that we converted.
Yeah.
And they kind of did something similar there in Grand Ronde. It was an old middle school that they purchased and are in the process of transforming into this museum and cultural center. So it's partially done. You can walk through and there's exhibit space that is done, and then they're also in the process of renovating the rest of the building. So it's pretty cool. If you go down Highway 18 toward the coast, and you go past the casino in Grand Ronde proper, you take a right-hand turn, and you see the Chehelam Museum.
It's kind of interesting because, going back 14,000 years, I guess I don't really think about the fact that they would have saved so much with all the displacements and different kinds of things. Where did they keep it? How did this work? And the fact that so much of it has been preserved. And now finally, telling a more complete story that's kind of, in many ways, way before, anything that we might know of as Oregon history, and then kind of on a parallel track for the last, 100 plus years.
Absolutely. I think that's really one of the special things about this exhibit, is that this is a story that could have easily been lost in many different instances and many times along the journey here, and yet people have been faithful in telling stories, telling oral stories, and collecting things. And the people at Chehelam are very, very passionate about keeping this story alive and accurate, and it's really a beautiful thing to be a part of. When we had our dedication ceremony, we had a drum ceremony, and we had a blessing from some of the tribal leaders.
Wow.
It was really special, and there were tears in the audience.
I bet. It's making me cry right now.
Because
it's amazing.
It's just really powerful to be able to share the story of our neighbors, and a story that has been a challenge for some people to accept in generations past.
Sure.
One of the tribal leaders shared a story of his grandmother would put face powder on to make herself fairer before she would go into town. so that she would be less likely to be discriminated against. And, you know, it's just simple stories like that. It's just and what has been overcome, and how far we've come, and how far we still need to go.
Oh, sure.
It's pretty powerful as you go through the exhibit. One of the things that had the potential to be lost and is now being preserved by the people of Grand Ronde is their language.
I was going to ask you about that, okay?
Yeah, so the language is a big part of the exhibit and what we're doing and what we're highlighting at the Chehelam Cultural Center. We actually have a station you can go to, and there's iPads, and there's an app that the people at the Chehelam Tribal Museum have created.
Wow.
And it guides you through the language, which is Chinook Wawa is the language. And you can hear it, you can record yourself saying some of these words, you can learn the words, you can do little games. So it's kind of geared for all ages, so you know, a kid can walk up and learn some greetings, play with it, and so that's pretty fun. And that language, you know, they were prohibited from using from the 50s to the 80s. During that time of termination is what it's called. When the United States government basically said, we're no longer recognizing you as a tribe, and you're prohibited from doing certain practices and using this language. And because of that older generation preserving the language, there's now immersion classes that they can take in the Willamina School District to keep that language alive.
That's just incredible, really just incredible. So now at your exhibit, are there any, you know, like instances of maybe tribal elders speaking, you know, telling stories in that language?
Not necessarily in that language, but we are definitely highlighting several tribal leaders. We have talks that are scheduled. There's one on May 28th.
Okay.
So Jan Looking Wolf Ryback, he's the director of the museum. He's going to do a talk on May 28th. It's a Thursday at 7 o'clock. And just kind of giving an overview of these traditions and these practices of the people of Grand Ronde, and tying in the exhibit. And then later on in June, we have a talk about treaties and land, and how they went from this vast amount of land covering pretty much the Cascades to the coast.
All the really good real estate.
Yeah, all the really good real estate, and through treaties, through different circumstances, being forced out of that land into this very limited reservation, and now how they're now trying to buy back some of that land. And so that will be the talk in June, and then there's actually two talks in July. One about ethnobotany, and about the life of plants, and how different plants symbolize different things, and have spiritual significance and traditional significance. And then the second talk in July is about viewing land through kind of a native lens. So we view land as very utilitarian. It's just different from a European lens. We view land in a hundreds of years kind of thing, and they view land as this thousands of years. They're constantly giving back to land, preserving land, having this relationship with land. So that will be those two talks in July.
Okay, and then at that is the point at which the exhibits will switch out, go from the cultural to the more of the artistic, the art piece.
Mid-July will be that big transition.
Okay, and then the art piece will stay up
through mid-September.
When you do the Night of the Moon.
Yes, Night of the Moon will feature the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, and Night of the Moon is our big fundraiser every year, and it's kind of the culminating event where we have performances and we eat food together, and hopefully raise some money to keep
people buy really fun things,
keep programming alive, and keep us open. For generations to come. Sure.
So, well, it sounds like, I mean, this has obviously been a huge amount of work and a really big thing. So the next time the public can sort of have an opportunity to sit in on one of these lectures is May 28th.
Correct, May 28th.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know. Okay. Yeah. So, and I know that Jesse's going to come on and talk about some of the kids' programs and things like that, but so tell me a little bit about what it's been like to work so closely with, the Grand Ronde tribe and this museum.
It's been very inspiring, I think is the word that comes to mind. Yeah. Their passion is very evident. They're very good. They're a team of people, just like we have our team of just solid, passionate, creative people at the Chehelam Cultural Center. They also have a team, and they all are so ready to jump in and do some really quality work. The exhibit is just top-notch, very high-class work as far as the exhibit goes. And we've sent people there to their museum to learn about all of this thing, and all of these topics, and be trained on the language. They've sent people over to us and learn kind of how we operate, and so it's been a huge collaboration. And one of the things I should add is that we have over 1,000 kids coming through on field trips.
Okay.
So that's something we're really excited about. We've done 3 already from different school districts around. Today we had Amity, I believe. Yeah, Amity. And so these kids, usually it's 3rd and 4th grade, because it's part of their curriculum is to explore the native peoples in 4th grade. And they get to walk through the exhibit and kind of get a tour. They get to
play with the iPads.
Play with the iPads, absolutely. And they have a station where they go and they learn even more about the language.
Okay.
And then they also have hands-on activities. So they're coming away with a piece of artwork that they created. So it's a really awesome opportunity just to see those kids come in, their eyes just go wide. And we had a group last week from Willamina, which included some tribal members, and that was pretty fun to see. Oh, these are my people, like 4th graders.
Take some ownership there.
Exactly, and 4th graders saying, I know this language, and let me tell you. And
oh wow.
Yes, so it's pretty phenomenal, and it's been very fun to have those buses of kids come through the Cultural Center.
So you'll probably have a few more before the end of the school year, huh?
Yeah, we have several more, through the end of the school year.
And then on that day, it's just kind of like all hands on deck.
Yes, exactly.
The buses are here.
It takes a full team of people to wrangle everybody, and but at the same time, those kids are so eager to learn. They're excited. I mean, there's nothing better than getting out of school.
Field trip, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Of course, that's every kid's dream.
Exactly.
Oh wow. So this is really a great opportunity for you to like showcase the cultures as you do every year. But I guess what I like about the way that you do it is it's so intense, and so really hands-on. And like I know you did the India, but also the transportation. I can just imagine the logistics.
Right.
Of the truckloads of stuff that come in and have to be kind of curated and dealt with and signed and all that. It's
absolutely
just a huge amount of work to do to put on an exhibit like this.
Absolutely, yeah, it totally takes a team. And I think one of the advantages of doing the Native peoples and highlighting the Confederate tribes of Grand Ronde is that they are our neighbors. And we can go to that deeper level. We can go to that next level because they've done the work for us in a sense, and they have these artifacts, they have this passion, they have these stories and these resources, and so in a way it makes our job completely natural. And I don't want to say easy, but that collaboration is priceless.
It really is. Well, Caleb, I really want to thank you for coming today, and we'll keep in touch about what's going on, and maybe have you on closer to the end of the season when you could talk about some of your fall events and the Night of the Moon.
Great. Thanks, Lynda.
Thank you very much.